Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and The Last Space Race, issue number 1 by Aftershock Comics. Let's get into this. All right, so Peter Calloway is the co-creator and writer, and Alex Shibao is the co-creator and artist. Natalia Marquez is the colorist. Marshall Dillon is the letterer. All right, and Shiabo and Marquez does cover A. Juan Doe does cover B. And Declan Shalvey did the, oh, for crying out loud, Declan Shalvey, I've said his name enough times, did the New York Comic Con exclusive cover. So, again, this is Aftershock Comics. This is interesting, man. You got this character, Sasha, who is running this company, and he's getting government funding, some kind of funding. It's private funding, where he is trying to create a space program. He's trying to start a colony on Mars. So this is essentially going to be a character kind of like Tesla, the Tesla company, where they're trying to do a bunch of really cool things and whatnot, but they're screwed up a little bit here, screwed up a little bit there, so it's not exactly like Tesla. It's a weird kind of feel. All right, because they're making this similar enough, yet unique enough that you can make some comparisons, but those comparisons kind of get shot down as you're making them. So that's actually the conundrum I'm finding myself in right now. So trying to give some examples, it's only going to go but so far. The idea here, though, is that with this colony to Mars, he is having problems, shuttling, passenger ship, pigeon shuttles or something like that. It's basically, he's trying to do like space transport. He's going in a little simulator with his pilot, and they're trying to accomplish getting into space travel just about 10 miles above the atmosphere so that people can officially say that they're astronauts. Mind you, this is just a simulator, but the whole thing is shutting down. They're having engine failure on this particular run they're going through. And the whole comic at this point is just a whole bunch of crazy screw-ups and mix-ups and false starts and what? And, oh, something's happening, but I don't know what. So it isn't until about page 16 that you realize what's finally happening. Apparently this this private company, I feel, has made first contact, or at least they think they're trying to make first contact. There is something out by the orbit of Saturn that is going in a straight line. It's weird, and it's intersecting with what looks like a comet's trajectory. So they're not sure what is up with that, and they're looking through infrared. I would imagine it's got to be infrared that they're seeing this. That the heat that is coming off of this thing, this UFO, this unidentified, I don't know, floating object as opposed to flying, is greater than that put out by the sun. Now, seeing as the sun is the source of all the energy within our solar system, that's an interesting idea. So there are some things that could cause that, but it's still going to be a reason for alarm. Like, hey, maybe this is some kind of an engine. Okay, that, and it would have to be one hell of an engine. But that being the case, they decide to come to this guy who's kind of running this place. His name is Sasha. And he's supposed to try and run this program to go out and try and figure out, hey, what is this? So he says, of course, I want to go along. You know, you guys are going to fund this, right? NASA, the government, you guys, you know, Joint Chiefs of Staff, you guys are going to fund this, right? He's like, oh yeah, we're gonna fund this. It's like, all right, cool, yay, I'm down, but I want to go. And that's pretty much how this issue ends. Okay, it took a while for the build-up. And mind you, it's also interesting that we start off with the idea of Sasha is in space, alone, in a suit. All right, he's in one of those spacewalk suits. No ship anywhere around him, and his oxygen supply is about to run off. So this entire thing is apparently his last, not only his last will and testament, but kind of his life story, how he got out there in a recording for whoever finds him. That's interesting. So I'm assuming something's going to find him at some point, probably in the next issue, whatever. Something's going to swing by, and that thing, that unidentified floating object is going to, swing by and grab him. That could be what happens. I don't know. I don't have any insider information here. But we see the problem. We see the main problem that's happening here. But it took a while for it to get into it. By the time it did, okay, I was interested. Maybe there are aliens. Maybe it's something else. Who knows? Let's actually get there. But I don't know. It was a nice... I'm not going to say it was a great build-up, but the payoff did feel good enough. It didn't feel very generic. It felt like it was worked in this fashion for a specified reason. We don't know what that reason is yet. All right, mind you, everything here is just questions. The only answer you get is, we think there's something out there that we should be trying to talk to. That's it. Now, we don't know the process of creating this ship. We don't understand how long that is taking, or it has taken, or what have you. We don't know who all is going on this cruise, this excursion. We have no idea about anything so far. So I'm assuming that the reason why this is going so slow is so that we can have a good build-up to who the characters are in this, which is a fantastic thing. I've read more than my share of science fiction comic books where you've got a comic book's single issue's breadth to introduce all the characters because of the way that the story is delivered. This is focusing on one character mainly, and there's only really two other characters, three. There's only three other characters in this that seem to have any kind of relevance. So, and enough of them have been built up, all four of them have been built up enough that even if we're not necessarily remembering their names, a simple blurb in the first page will be enough to remind us who these characters are because we've already been introduced to them. So I like that. We only meet four characters. I'm sure we're going to wind up meeting many more characters, but if the buildup is this slow, where we're slowly meeting these characters, then I think that this is going to work really well. Speaking of the first page, this issue is called Pale Blue Dot. I like that because it's based off of Carl Sagan's poem or exposition, you could say, his little monologue when he was in NASA, and I forget which satellite program it was. I know it was it Gemini? Can't remember which. Maybe I think it was the Viking. Anyway, whatever one it was, not important for this video. No prize. A no prize for whoever mentions it first in the comments. Carl Sagan said, "Can you by chance turn that satellite around so we can see the Earth behind it? See it's the trajectory it came from." Like, yeah. So of course it's going to take a while for the command to get out there, but it does, and it turns around, and they're able to see the Earth. And that's when he makes the Pale Blue Dot pump. Go and look that up. You can actually listen to it in his voice. All right, it really is. It's beautiful, and it says a whole lot about the harmony that the human race should have when we see how insignificant we are in the universe. All of our problems. It's not to say that our problems are insignificant, but in comparison to the grand scheme of things, which is why causing problems for each other is a really ridiculous concept. It's beautiful, and definitely I highly recommend going and checking that out. Anyway, right now, although it was a slow start, if you can get past those first 15 and a half pages or so, this turns into a pretty solid story because you're going to have to take everything that happened before into account. Solid story. I'm digging this. I definitely want to see more. All right, guys, that's it for me. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.